a Kangaroo Fern production.
A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Samut-Sari Conversation with Mimi, to connect with other women who may need someone to talk to around everyday's life issues and challenges, from managing career and household to inner productivity, relationships, and other hot topics. Samut-Sari Conversation with Mimi.
Hello and welcome everyone to Samut-Sari. This is Mimi again, your host, and welcome to the program. Samut-Sari is a podcast featuring my guests who have passion and talents and commitment to their profession, or they've been doing something unique in their lives. And our goal here at Samut-Sari is to share stories to inspire you. Stories from ordinary people who make extraordinary things. And in today's episode, I have my friend here with me from Christchurch, New Zealand, Miss Evan Dispo. Hi, Evan. Say hello to my viewers and listeners.
Hello po. Hello everyone, and good evening.
Good evening, good morning. Good evening sa'yo. Good evening sa'yo.
Good evening here.
Yeah, but it could be good day or good afternoon or good morning to those people who are listening to us. Evan, I'm so thankful that finally nagkaroon na tayo ng opportunity to be together online. It took us 3 tries. I think this is the 3rd try. 3 times lucky daw. 3 times lucky. So, Evan, I invited you to Samut-Sari because I wanted the listeners, the viewers of this podcast or this show to learn a lot from your experience being a migrant who recently and finally got her citizenship from New Zealand. So, congratulations again. But before we dive deep into your story, which I would really want others to learn from what you have gone through, give us a little bit about a flavor of what Christchurch looks like right now. Because for those who don't know, Christchurch experienced the very big earthquake that was in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, or 2012.
2010
2010? Yes.
10-11, September 2010 and February 2011.
See, you are the expert, you know the date. So I want the people to know, what is Christchurch now, Evan? What does it look like? Is it a bustling city again? What is life like where you are?
I cannot compare Christchurch before the earthquake because I was not here during before the earthquake, no. But I like Christchurch now because when I first came, it's totally not a commercial area. I mean the city. And now new buildings, new roads.
Yeah.
Because roads then were, broken and destroyed, and lots of buildings. Buildings right now are more of like advanced, and they made it like a resilient to earthquake, and mostly glass. So and there are lots of even the roads, no, they make it a point that there are lanes for bikes, for bicycles, and and for footpaths, mostly footpaths for people who want to just jog, just run, or just walk, going to the office, to their work, or even close to the going to the park. Kasi there's a big park here in the city, and it's called Hagley Park. So most people just living around the city prefers to they prefer to walk, or even just to do bike or e-scooter.
Yeah.
Mostly e-scooter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're telling me that Christchurch is kind of being promoted as an eco-friendly city, and it boasts of facilities like public spaces where people can really do a lot of exercise, walking, be out and about. But I was really curious when you said na there are many glass buildings and things like that. So are you confident now that you are earthquake proof? That you won't experience the same cracks and destruction that you had many years ago?
No, I what I'm saying is that I cannot say that we are or confidently say that we are earthquake proof, because there are, I mean, the land here, or the soil in Christchurch, has three different types. So like it's good if you have TC1, because TC1 is the more compact and more stable. But we have TC2 and TC3. The TC3 is really the one, the problematic one. So there are areas in Christchurch na mostly TC3, which mostly sa eastern side. So I mean, that's still a problem. That's still a problem. I mean, lalo na kung if there's a continuous rain, some parts of the city, or not the city, but east side is flooded. So we are trying to be resilient, but it will come. It's not an overnight thing.
Yes,
but
it's a process.
Slowly, or slowly.
Yeah. So, Evan, there's another event, major event more recently in Christchurch that you will probably tell me na talagang resilient ang mga taga Christchurch. And it is the mass shooting in 2 mosques where an Australian citizen was the culprit. So, he was just recently in the news because apparently he's been convicted and he's going to jail for life. What's the mood of the Christchurch community about this situation and recent development regarding the perpetrator?
So you want to start a podcast, or perhaps you've already started one, but you're still unclear on how you can actually make this podcasting work. No worries. That's why we're here for you. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Join our network. Contact us at info@kangaroofern.com, because we're stronger together.
There is sympathy, and I can see that Christchurch people are really compassionate. They are really compassionate, and they want, it's like, regardless of I would say it's they are diverse. They want to incorporate or embrace diversity, and regardless of your race or your religion or what your beliefs, they want to we're trying to be
open. Are you trying to be open or accepting? Are you trying to be
accepting? Accepting, more on accepting. There's a good word for that, but I cannot remember.
Okay,
that word.
it's okay. When you remember, just blurt it out. Remember. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that whatever we see on TV news about Christchurch, it really makes me go back to my close association with New Zealand, and I really feel for the Kiwis. And we know that our culture as Kiwis, we are really all embracing of others, and loving, and loving of others. So despite the fact that you have been wronged, you're still adapting that positivity amidst all those trials. So that's a good segue, Evan, because I want to hone into Filipinos in Christchurch, and then you specifically as a Filipino in Christchurch. Can you say that there are still a lot of Filipinos in Christchurch at this time? After the earthquake, are there jobs available for Filipinos in Christchurch?
You'll be surprised. Filipinos in Christchurch are increasing in numbers. So there are, before the lockdown, in early, right after For a few years after the earthquake, lots and lots of Filipino workers, mostly construction workers, came here. Some of them, maybe a number of them, went to move to Auckland to work again, because work here is like, it's almost complete, but not complete. Something like that. It's like still 70 or 65%. The development is still like 60 to 70%. But there are a lot more to do.
Okay, so there's still opportunities, because I would think that as part of the rebuilding program of Christchurch, you would still welcome workers to help, obviously put the city back into the map of development, of, to make a difference in society. Don't you think so?
That was before the lockdown, I guess.
Yeah, that was before the lockdown.
Yeah. But with the lockdown, small companies are closing. There are lots in here. I mean, not only here in Christchurch, but I think all over New Zealand. So I guess that's a commonality for all countries.
Yeah.
I believe with the pandemic. I mean, I know a number of Filipinos.
So you're saying that there's still some sort of a struggle for people to find work. Yeah. But
I would say if you are working in the hospital, medical thing, they are still stable. Yeah, that kind of work is still stable. But all others, like constructions or productions,
they're the ones that are struggling at the moment.
Especially hospitality.
Yeah, especially here as well. Hospitality is the main victim of the pandemic, because lots of restaurants and personal service. Yeah, the tourism, yes, for sure.
The tourism is a dead.
They thought that we would have a tourism bubble, New Zealand and Australia, but it did not come into fruition because of what happened to Melbourne, for example. It became worse because of the borders closing. Evan, I'd like to talk about your story, because you are working in the City Council of Christchurch, and obviously, as a worker of City Council, you are involved in projects that obviously deal with, looking after the community.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button now. This podcast is possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
But prior to your work in Christchurch, in the Philippines, you are involved in a lot of community development and a lot of economic-related projects, both international and local. So your role, is that too different from what you're doing now in Christchurch, or are there elements of that you've come to appreciate and apply from your previous life into your new career now in Christchurch?
I would say the area is quite a bit different. I was able to apply what I've learned in my previous work. No, for instance, in the Philippines, I worked for 21 years with the central government, with the Department of Environment, and then 5 years in there, and then 16 years at NEDA, National Economic and Development Authority. So mostly my work there is projects evaluation, review of policy or legislations, where it relates to like natural resources, environment, climate change, and even I've handled like projects funded by different financing institutions like Asian Development Bank, World Bank, United Nations, USAID. While in the Philippines, I'm more of a policy and I'm more of planning and also projects. Approving projects and monitoring projects. also negotiations with different countries.
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
The ASEAN Secretariat as well in Jakarta, and mostly the same thing. I mean, the same work I have with NEDA, but this one I have like different countries cooperation framework. It's a wider because it covers 10 countries, but still almost related with NEDA. So my work at NEDA, I was able to bring it to Christchurch City Council because of the policy. But you know, the council, I'm now with the local council. It's entirely different because
From international, you're now local.
yeah, you are dealing directly with the people on the ground, and you are receiving complaints, receiving requests from the community itself. Whereas central government, you can do anything. I mean, not anything, but your perspective is more holistic and more general. But if you are working at local, whatever is the issue at the local level, you have to focus on the issue itself. In my previous work in both in the Philippines and Jakarta, Indonesia, I'm more of environment, climate change, forestry. But here in Christchurch, I work as a policy for the local government, like alcohol ban.
That's
Alcohol ban, smoke, banning smoke. I mean, not banning, but encouraging smoke-free.
encouraging smoke-free environment. Okay.
So, and I was a psychoactive. I mean, I was even surprised. These things were assigned. I mean, these areas assigned to me, and I'm not familiar with that because I don't drink, I don't smoke, And it's sometimes I had difficulty like putting myself into the person who is a smoker, I mean, but again, it should not prevent you to come up with a good policy for the community.
Of course, because as you know, one of the strategies by the local government is consultation. So I'm pretty sure that before you can even draft up your plan for whatever it is, it will go through several rounds of consultation before the final document is adopted. And I do work a little bit with the local council here, so I have a little idea of what you're going through. So Evan, one of the things that I have kind of gathered from what you've told me so far is that yung buhay mo sa Pinas is so different from your buhay sa Christchurch that you also need to kind of pivot and change your mindset. Like you said, even though you cannot relate to a smoker, you still have to develop a good and robust policy for the council, for the community. And at the same time, sa Pinas, you're all about much more higher policy framework kind of scenario. What was it like changing your lifestyle, changing your life in general from Philippines to Christchurch? Nahirapan ka ba? Malaki bang adjustment when you moved to New Zealand? Did you have to completely remove yourself from Evan in the Philippines and transition or morph into a new Evan in New Zealand? How was that process like for you over these years?
Yes and no. Yes, because we work differently in the Philippines or in Jakarta, because it's always like, as I said, I work with the central government, and our office is under the office of the president. NEDA is under the office of the president. So we always work like work. And even in Jakarta, I have to work, I have to travel, I have to attend meetings, everything. And I guess what I appreciate most in here is that the health and well-being is put in front of you or as priority.
Yes.
And I don't have that in the Philippines. You know how we work in the Philippines. And that I appreciate, really, really appreciate the most. In fact, what I've learned from those years as project manager or doing the work of projects with USAID, I was able to apply it here in the council. I mean, the learnings, the best practices that we've learned so far from our projects, it's really beneficial. And I was able to, even if they are not asking you, but since you know something,
Yes.
you have to share.
Yes.
You have to share. I mean, they may not take it, but at least you share something.
Yeah, they know
The
you are
lessons.
proactive. They know you are proactive. Filipinos are proactive. And I think they will
And then-
appreciate that.
Yeah. And the thing is, the good thing is, I let it be. You know, when you share, when you tell them, when you talk to them about your experience and your learnings, I let it be. And later on, after 2 years, I learned that they are applying it. You know,
Ta-da!
and I was so, and I'm just amazed. I mean, for me, I don't. Maybe because my frame of mind right now is that I will work because I like work. I don't. I mean, I don't work necessarily to get high pay. You know, a pay is not, maybe because my children are all grown up. That's why. So I'm just supporting myself.
Play for you now than pay. Because
Exactly.
you don't have all those side obligations to worry about.
True.
So I think
true.
that's the nice thing about having older children, is because they're more independent now, so you can focus on yourself and enjoy whatever it is that you're doing.
True.
So it's like me, when my kids ask me, Mom, why are you still in your job when you can find a better paying job? I said, it's not just about the pay, it's about the job satisfaction and how this job of mine right now fits into my family life. So imagine if you have a high paying job, then there are more demands on that job that will take you away from your family. And at the end of the day, the reason why you're working is to support your family. So I really see you as a very happy person right now, Evan. And I'm really
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
your journey is really a story of survival, of resilience, of perseverance, and everything. So what can you advise Filipinos who are still interested to go to New Zealand? Ano bang sikreto? What are the secrets people like you to say na, okay, maybe I have finally exceeded my expectations, I've finally gone over the fence, and masasabi ko na lahat na napagdaanan ko ay tapos na. So what will it take for a Filipino listening to us who is not in New Zealand to make it to New Zealand? How can they succeed? What is your advice, or what are the learnings that you can share?
Few advice, like you should have focus. When you plan to move to other countries, have focus. I mean, by saying focus, do you really want to?
That's right.
You know?
Yun ang pinaka-importante question.
Will you be ready? You know? Will you be ready? Because if you are, and I will say resiliency as well, or how you adapt easily. I mean, you have to be ready by heart, by mind. Because when you come here, it's not all bits of roses.
That's right.
It's not bits of roses always. And there are something like, sometimes you have rejections, some in applications, and even in other people, racist comments. But the thing is, if you are focused and you are determined, I mean, as long as you have, I have my trust in God. So I hold onto that.
Kapit
Because,
talaga, kapit.
kapit talaga. Kasi, Mimi knows what I have gone through. And it was really, I gave up my career, my everything. Left my 2 kids back home, and you're just alone. And also, when you plan to come here, make sure na if you are coming as a family, you have enough
Tama
resources.
yan, that's right.
And you have support, community support, friends, try to look for friends first. Try to connect. First thing kasi, before I moved in here talaga, nag-research na ako kung saan akong church pupunta. Kasi that's your first support when you come.
Yes, they provide you with hindi lang it's not just the physical presence of those people ang kailangan mo, pero yung sense of ang tawag dito, when you go to church, it's where you find your peace, it's where you find your inner peace, and you need to be with the right people as well. So tama yung strategy mo, Evan. I do believe that. Because that's the same thing that happened to me. When I went to Melbourne, I didn't really know anyone except my in-laws because I stayed with them. So I also had to look for a church where I feel very, very comfortable. At yun ang aking puntahan para mag-reflect, para humingi ng tulong, para yung in my moments of desperation, doon ako umiiyak on my own.
True.
You need
true.
that. Yeah,
you need that. Kasi you'll be going to a known place. A known place, not even closer to your culture. So it's entirely different, but again, I know Filipinos are very resilient. We are really resilient, and try to be happy. One thing that I learned is that pag may problema ako, hindi ko siya dinadala ng matagal.
Hindi mo iniinda.
I try to entertain myself.
Okay.
I try to entertain myself, like going with friends, going to other places. Kaya ako, parang lakad ng lakad kung saan, bit-bit, kumbaga lagi akong tag-along. So, because it keeps you from, thinking about your problem.
That's
and
right.
Even missing your loved ones. And New Zealand is a very beautiful place. Very beautiful place. And you will love it. But mas masipag lang, at saka wag mapili.
Yes.
Sa work.
That's right.
Wag mapili sa work. Wag mapili sa work. And just try. I submitted like 500 applications or rejections. Alam mo yun. But because I have that faith and have hope. So, hope is a very important thing. Keep on hoping.
Yes.
Kasi yun yung hawak mo eh.
Oo. That will propel you na hindi ka na stuck sa kadiliman. Hope is that little window of light that you can focus on, that you will say, I will reach that light and I will be out of this dark tunnel. So, yes, I really love your different pieces of advice, Evan, kasi ang dami ng dimensions niyan eh. Siguro yung mga nakikinig sa atin right now, they will be a little bit parang hindi pa sila makarelate siguro. Pero once na nandun na sila sa situation lang na yan, tsaka pa lang nila sasabihin na tama, what Evan is saying is true or what Evan is saying is right. Because it's not an unusual thing to experience, but everyone who has been through that will say the same thing. And you are a witness to your own experience. So the experience is the best teacher talaga. So are you saying na it's not too late for people to still hope and wish for a good life abroad, like in New Zealand?
Of course. We are free to dream and to aspire greater and better life. It should always be like that. I believe, ako kasi believer ako kasi ako ang belief ko talaga nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible as long as you work for it, as long as hindi limited yung mind mo, hindi nagli-limit ang mind mo. There is always hope. Yeah, and there are opportunities. There are opportunities.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I'm thinking na maghihintay lang tayo. Let's just wait for this lockdown to ease, and hopefully most countries will open the borders after they have limited or controlled the number of cases of COVID in their areas. And I do believe that and being from New Zealand myself, of course I will promote New Zealand, and I will always say that it's one of the most beautiful countries in the whole world. So kahit na tahimik siya compared sa buhay sa Pinas, it's still an alternative because you don't have a lot of what do you call that, environmental pollution. For example, you can eat a lot of fresh food, and the people are generally friendly, and like Evan said, there's a lot of opportunities waiting for you. So wag ka lang mapili, merong opportunity. So wag masyadong isipin yung dati, but move forward and think positive, and think that it is for your new life. So Evan, really, I wish to thank you for the time that you spent with me today, and your advice and your experience, and for updating us in terms of Christchurch as it is now. How I wish I can bring photos and show it to people, but they can always Google Christchurch and see how beautiful it is. And with you as part of the Filipino workforce, the driving force, the lifeline of Christchurch, I'm pretty sure that it will be quicker in terms of its recovery and rebuilding, and bringing the city back to life after the two major earthquakes and this very devastating social event, the mass shooting at the two mosques in your area. Thank you, Evan. Do you have any last words to say before I formally close the show?
No, come to Christchurch, have a visit. It's a beautiful place. South Island is a beautiful place, but the whole New Zealand is a beautiful country. And come and visit. And if you are planning to live here or migrate here, you think it's a long-term plan for you, but come for a visit.
Yeah.
Come for a visit and see New Zealand yourself before deciding.
That's right. And Christchurch and Queenstown, for example, are destination places for weddings and holidays. So there's a lot to see in the South Island. So Evan, I hope to visit you there again.
Sure,
I hope to visit you there again. Let's just see if there's an opportunity. Maybe if I have enough flybys points, I can travel again and see you, and we can have coffee again, and have ice cream again, and all these things. So just wait for me until then. But for now, I wish to thank you again. So I'm going to end the show now. Thank you everybody for joining Evan and myself, talking about Christchurch and talking about Evan's experience. So if you have any topics or any questions that you have, you wish to ask me or Evan, please reach out to my email, mimi@dinosocial.com. Samutsari is a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, and you can reach out to me via my Facebook page, my Twitter account, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, all the other Guerrilla Podcast programs, tangkilikin po natin. Evan, thank you. Finally, it happened. And come back in a future episode of Samutsari, okay?
Yeah, sure. Ngami here. Means thank you.
Thank you very much, Evan. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit our website at www.guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. You can also join the conversation with Guerrillas RV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please consider on making a donation. to help us keep making the podcast you love. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.